Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, Energized by Celsius. It is a Wednesday edition of the show. Therefore, it is a preview show as we get into the Bucs' next matchup. It will be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Christmas night, traveling to Arizona to take on the Cardinals in a game where neither team has lived up to expectations, but one of these teams still has a chance to make the playoffs, and that would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is my fellow co-host from PewterReport.com and the face that runs the place at said website that I just mentioned. It is Scott Reynolds. Scott, how you doing? Are you in the holiday spirit? How we doing?
I am. I am. I'm actually drinking as we talk right here, a green can. This is the Take No Quarter IPA, trying to get into the holiday spirit, the Christmas spirit. And the great thing about, and we'll get into the Pirate Republic ad read in just a minute here, but the great thing about Pirate Republic is, they're already ready for the holidays. You got your red can, you got your green can, that's the Long John Pilsner. You can got your gold can, which is the golden haze of piracy Belgian wit. So it's pretty cool. All you have to do with these things is slap a bow on them, put them under the tree, maybe put some in the stockings. It's a great stocking stuffer. So more on Pirate Republic later, but I'm already partaking in the Pirate Republic holiday spirit.
That's totally fine by me. I mean, it's happy hour time.
It is.
It's happy hour time. It's
4 o'clock somewhere. It's 4 o'clock here.
Exactly. It's 4 o'clock. Now, all right, let's get into this matchup. It's the Bucs against the Cardinals. I feel bad for the schedule makers. Typically, I don't, because let's remember the schedule makers, they screwed over the Bucs in Bruce Arians' first year as head coach.
Yes.
Where the Bucs had a home game in London, and it was a divisional game, which you don't typically see too much in these international affairs. And the Bucs didn't have a home game for like over a month because of it. This year, the schedule makers decided that, we're going to have the Bucs play 2 really important games on the West Coast late in the season, and we're gonna mix in the AFC champions as your home game.
Right.
But where I feel bad for the schedule makers, because you can predict the future, but you don't actually know what's going to happen.
Right.
The Christmas slate is not really that good. No. If you look at it, there's 3 games on Christmas. The first one is the Miami Dolphins against the Green Bay Packers. Now, I don't schedule there because, again, on paper, the Dolphins with Tyreek Hill in his first season there against the Packers, who obviously had Aaron Rodgers coming off an MVP, that looks like a good game on paper. The second game, the defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams, who are now eliminated from the playoffs, against the Russell Wilson previously led Denver Broncos, now Brett Rippon. Again, on paper, Russell Wilson, his new team, the Broncos, these 2 teams contending for the West Crown in their respective conferences. That game's a dud now with all the injuries to the Rams, Russell Wilson, obviously everything going on there, which leaves the finale, the Bucs against the Cardinals, which again would look pretty good. Cardinals, exciting team, made the playoffs last year. Every Bucs fan knows the history of the Bucs over the last 2 seasons. That looks like a great game. And then Kyler Murray's out for the year. DeAndre Hopkins gets suspended for half the season. The Bucs completely regress. They obviously lose a lot of top-tier players. They're 6-8, fighting for their playoff lives. The Christmas schedule sucks, and Bucs fans have been complaining, why do I have to watch the Bucs on Christmas? You know what?
Well,
I don't necessarily blame you. You don't have to.
But you don't have to, but if you want to.
I get it. It's your favorite team, so you're gonna ride with it. But this is not the prettiest of schedules. Even the Christmas Eve, all the games on Saturday aren't really top-notch either.
It's funny, right? Because with all of the years where the Lions have just absolutely sucked, and actually the Lions are resurging right now, right? And under Dan Campbell, and they're living up to the Hard Knocks pre-season billing, right, where you talked about as a possible breakout team. Well, they're breaking out. They're living up to it. We'll see how they finish down the stretch. But the interesting thing is like Lions fans, Matt, they're conditioned to, hey, we're going to suck. We know that. And we're also going to have a home Thanksgiving game, right?
Mhm.
And everybody goes to that knowing that they're probably going to lose to the Packers or the Vikings or whoever, right? Whoever decides to play them on Thanksgiving, it's probably going to be a loss. That's been kind of the trend over the last decade or so, for sure. But the thing is, the Cardinals fans, because this is not a static game, this Sunday night Christmas game is a new phenomenon, and it's not a static thing. In other words, the Cardinals don't host it every year. This is their first time hosting on Christmas night, and this is the first time the Bucs are playing on Christmas night. That being said, I wondered how many Cardinals fans are even going to show up. I mean, here you have a team, right, that is, that has won 4 games this year. And looking at their schedule, they're 4-10 right now. They are mired in a 4-game losing streak. They've won 1 out of the last 6. Kyler Murray's out. They've lost, obviously, all hope. They're not making the playoffs this year. They're contending for, a top 10 draft pick, and they're going to get it. But I wondered how many Cardinals fans are even going to show up for this game on Christmas night. And if Tom Brady wasn't the quarterback in this game, right, a chance to see Tom maybe one last time. I mean, I'm just wondering, and we'll never know, but how many fans, even Cardinals fans, are going to be there because of Tom Brady? And
no, that's
is it going to be, because I don't think it's going to be a capacity game whatsoever.
No.
But is Tom going to account for 10,000 more fans? 12,000? 15? Is it going to be 5,000? I don't know. But it's interesting. It'd be interesting to see how many fans actually show up for the game and how empty it is, because these are two teams that, as you said, really have had disappointing seasons. The Bucs, luckily are playing in the worst division of football this year, and they have a chance to win the NFC South title. But if not for Tom Brady, I just wonder how many fans would be there Sunday night.
That's actually an interesting point that I didn't really consider too much. Tom Brady should send a bill to the Cardinals for being like, "Hey guys, I'm packing your stadium."
Right?
They're essentially.
I think Tom should get like a percentage of the gate, right?
No, that's only fair, because if you're a Cardinals fan, why? Unless you're like, the Cardinals have this one fan I remember from a couple of years ago. He's the guy that will he wears shoulder pads, he wears a helmet, and, Birdman? No, he's wearing legit football shoulder pads and a helmet, and he'll have his name is Cortez, because he does training camp, you have the tape on your helmet.
Yeah, right.
And you write your name there.
Yeah.
So it says Cortez. Cortez will be at the game rocking hard for his team. And I respect that. But why else on Christmas of all days would you be like, all right, I'm gonna go sit in traffic? Maybe there won't be as much traffic if no one's going to the game. But it's I'm taking time out of my day to go see this crappy team. But it's Tom Brady. Might be your only time to ever see him.
It's either going to be Tom Brady, or the other thing I could think of, Matt, is if Sunday morning you wake up, you check your stocking, and you get a note from Santa saying you've been a naughty boy or a naughty girl, and you have coal in your stocking. And your punishment is going to be going to the Cardinals game tonight. And then maybe if you go, then you'd be on the nice list next year, right? Support your hometown team. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. We're going to get into the Cardinals Bucs preview throughout the show here. That's what today's topic is. We do have some news for one Buccaneer place, but one thing just to kind of whet your appetite. If you're looking for an exciting game, you might be disappointed, because this is a game where both teams are kind of undisciplined, right? We've seen that in Tampa. We've seen how the Buccaneers can be undisciplined. I mean, hell, they blew a 17-0 lead against the Bengals last Sunday.
Easily.
Got outscored 31-6. Yeah, just like that. Had 5 straight turnovers if you count the turnover on downs, which was the botched fake punt attempt by Giovanni Bernard. The Buccaneers are they're the 20th most penalized team in the league in terms of 5.9 penalties per game. The Cardinals are the third most penalized team in the league. So they're even more indisciplined than the Buccaneers at 6.9 penalties, almost 7 penalties per game. So you can expect mistakes on both sides. The turnover battle, that's kind of a cliche thing. Whoever wins the turnover battle is going to win the game. That certainly played out last week, right, Matt? But this week, it might be right? Because it's been, as Todd Bowles has eloquently said, it's been Bucs versus Bucs. And obviously in Arizona, you could say easily it's been Cardinals versus Cardinals. So whichever team decides to play the other team and not themselves probably has the better chance to win this game, right?
Oh, without questions. I mean, even before the Tom Brady era, it was all about, hey, if the Bucs don't beat themselves, they're going to have a chance to win this game. And I think the key and obviously that goes without saying when you have Tom Brady, especially the way that the Bucs like had that game. You know, like you're up 17-3. I'm very curious the more I think about it. Like if the Bucs, even if they went 3 and out or got a couple first downs that weren't scoring points in that third quarter, if they just forced the Bengals to go all the way down the field, like would they have won that game? I'm very curious. You can't really look back at it now because so many different things change. But now you look at the Bucs and the Cardinals. I think a big thing that really sticks out to me for the Cardinals, and I talked about body language with the Bucs on their last show, but they just look defeated at times when things don't necessarily go their way. The Cardinals, and a little bit more with Kyler Murray, so obviously you won't be getting that for Sunday's game, but they seem to really like legitimately snap at each other, you know, when they're out there playing. Like they legit are getting in each other's faces. Hey, bro, what's wrong? Why'd you throw it this way? Why'd you throw it that way? And that's why in an odd way, I almost felt that the Bucs would almost rather play against Kyler Murray than Colt McCoy, because I think Colt McCoy is that veteran guy. But clearly he's not playing. He has concussion.
Right.
They actually ruled today that he's out for the game. So it will be Trace McSorley, who Bucs fans might not be too familiar with, but Chris Godwin is very familiar with him. They teamed up to dominate the Rose Bowl, where Penn State, I believe, beat USC, and Chris Godwin had like
was a hell of a day.
He had like 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then said, I think I'm good enough to play in the NFL, and decided to go to the draft after that. So I think just overall body language, not stepping on your own toes, is really going to be the big difference in this game, because there's no way the Bucs can lose to a third-string quarterback. There's just absolutely
of course not. There's no way
the Bucs can lose.
Oh, wait a minute.
Quarterback, sure.
Gosh. PJ Walker. Brock Purdy. It has not been pretty for the Buccaneers going up against backup quarterbacks. They have a hard time going up against starting quarterbacks like Joe Burrow and Aaron Rodgers and all them. But even the backup quarterbacks can't provide that relief that you normally would see. And that's really been frustrating because, again, the Buccaneer defense has been good enough to win most games this year, but they just haven't dominated these backup quarterbacks like you would think that they would, whether it be not getting enough pressure with the pass rush, not making enough plays in the ball. I'm not quite sure why that has been the case, but for whatever reason, it's just these quarterbacks have almost been like a kryptonite against the Buccaneers in years past under Todd Bowles, and even before then. I mean, even Monty Kiffin had some problems with some of these quarterbacks, and certainly Lovie Smith's defense and Greg Schiano's did at times too. It should be a slam dunk on paper, but it's not, and that's why they play the games, because football is played on the field, not on paper. I'm not sure about this. I don't have any scientific proof. This would have to be done really in a parallel universe to see if it make a difference. I know that there are some sports drinks that the Buccaneers are licensed to drink on the field, but at times, maybe, I don't know, Matt, in the third quarter, it seems like this team needs a pick me up. And I don't know about you, but it's, to me, like if they just decided to break open some Celsius, an Arctic vibe, a tropical vibe, a peach vibe, any of those vibe flavors, just to kind of get some vibe going in the second half. Maybe they turn the tide and win that game against the Bengals. I don't know. Maybe they'll find some Celsius in Arizona. And the thing is, if you want to find Celsius wherever you're located, whether it's Arizona or Florida or wherever you are across the United States, you can go to Celsius.com and click on the store locator to find the official energy drink of Pewter Report. And packed with 7 essential vitamins, it's the healthiest energy drink you're going to find. What I love about Celsius is there's no sugar and there's no preservatives. It means there's no sugar crash later on Why would you want to drink an energy drink that gives you that little caffeine buzz, that energy that you need? And then 3 or 4 hours later, once the sugar kicks in and the caffeine wears off, boom, you're crashing. It does the exact opposite effect. Well, there's no sugar crash with Celsius. That's why I drink it. That's why you should drink it. And they come in tremendously awesome flavors, not just the vibe flavors, but orange, which I had this morning, watermelon, which I actually had. They've got the wild berry. If you don't like the sparkling type of drinks, they also have green tea formulated peach mango, which is a fantastic flavor. My daughter Ellie likes. Kiwi guava. There's a whole bunch of flavors. So do yourself a favor. Get on board with Celsius. It replaces coffee for me in the mornings. And we encourage you to buy Celsius at Amazon. Why? Because they'll send it right to your door, and you can use the subscribe and save feature and save money. So Celsius, live fit with the official energy drink of Pewter Report. All right, Matt, I think you're muted there.
I am muted.
There
I
you
am
go.
muted.
Okay.
I muted no more. Apologies for that. You know, when we look at the Cardinals offense, sure, the whole quarterback situation, that whole snafu is one of the first things that come to mind. And that kind of eases your mind a little bit when you look at the Bucs defense going up against the Cardinals offense. But one thing that definitely cannot be taken lightly by any stretch of the imagination is the skill players that the Cardinals have, because they still have DeAndre Hopkins playing in that game. And obviously he came back from the suspension early in the season.
Yeah.
And one thing that DeAndre Hopkins has going for him more than anything else, and he is one of the best receivers in the game, if not the best. He spent a lot of his career with the Houston Texans, and before Deshaun Watson got there, who's now with the Browns. DeAndre Hopkins may be the best receiver at being able to play, him and Mike Evans, honestly, being able to play with any quarterback, any style of quarterback, first string, second string, third string, fourth string, whoever you want to say. DeAndre Hopkins has played with some of the best quarterbacks, some of the worst quarterbacks you could ever play with, and he still puts up numbers.
Still produces.
He can still dominate a game. So the Bucs absolutely cannot take DeAndre Hopkins lightly. They cannot take Hollywood Brown lightly. He's another very talented receiver. He missed some time with injury, but when he's in there, he's been able to, put up numbers here and there. James Conner as well. Obviously spent a lot of time with the Steelers. He is a guy that, he can find the end zone. He's a skilled player. So while the quarterback situation is still obviously not ideal for the Cardinals, these are some skilled players that cannot, by any stretch of the imagination.
We lost Matt. Yeah, I agree. They can't be taken for granted. That's the biggest thing, is when you look at the speed that they have, even though it's not, Kyler Murray throwing them the football. It's a situation where you've got a system in place where, and this is one thing Todd Bowles said, whether it's Colt McCoy, whether it's Kyler Murray, whether it's Trace McSorley, they are prepping for the system. And he said all three of those quarterbacks run the system pretty well. Todd Bowles was talking about the Cardinals offense today. Let's play that video and see exactly what he thinks of these skill positions and what he's preparing for when it comes to the Cardinals this Sunday night.
Yeah, very good skill guys. They're very fast. And obviously, Hopkins has been doing it for a long time. One of the best in the league. He's got outstanding hands and competes. They got Hollywood Brown and they got Robbie, so they got tons of speed outside. Connor does a heck of a job for him, blocking, catching, and running the football. So he's kind of a triple threat, so to speak. They got McBride, they just drafted. We loved him coming out of college, so he was a great player there. And they got a huge offensive line. And as far as quarterback, whether it was Kyler or whether it was Colt or whether it's McSorley, they kind of run their system. All three can run the football. So, Kyler may be faster than everybody because he had elite speed, but everybody else can run the ball as well. And they throw it just the same. So we got to prepare for everything.
Yeah, Matt rejoins us here. And the thing, too, about the Cardinals that I've noticed is, for whatever reason, this is a team that has drafted a lot of the players that we at Pewter Report have kind of had our eye on. And Trey McBride, the tight end from Colorado State, one of those players that we had as a Bucs best bet, for example. And there's several players that we've had that Buccaneer fans may be familiar with from our pre-draft coverage in years past. David Collins, the linebacker, Isaiah Simmons, the other linebacker, both those guys, very, very good, fast athletes. Buda Baker, I think, was the Bucs' best bet years ago, kind of playing that Antoine Winfield role, that slot safety / corner back position. Zach Allen, the defensive end from Boston College, he was their second leading sacker. He's out for this game, so that maybe negates a little bit of their pass rush. And Josh Jones, the left tackle who played at Houston a couple years ahead of Logan Hall, but I liked him coming out of Houston. He's their left tackle now in Arizona. So there's a lot of those guys, and Trey McBride is now the starter, and that is due to the fact that Zach Ertz is on injured reserve. When you look at the tight end position, Ertz was, Matt, their leading touchdown producer with 4 this year. He had 406 yards receiving on 47 catches, about 8.6 yards per catch. He's not a downfield threat anymore given his age. But even that, Trey McBride, very similar yards per catch average, 8.1, 16 catches, 129 yards, no touchdowns yet. So he's just kind of getting into this offense now that Ertz is out. But the one thing that really caught my attention, and you mentioned DeAndre Hopkins, who I'm sure Carlton Davis will have a lot to say about and guard on Sunday, Matt. But there's just not a lot of big explosive plays in this offense in the passing game, even when Kyler Murray was there. DeAndre Hopkins, longest catch of the season, 33 yards. Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, 26-yard catch is his longest. Rondale Moore, who's out with an injury, 38 yards for him. Greg Dortch, the diminutive speedster, kind of like their Devin Tompkins, right? He's got a 47-yard catch. That's the longest of the year by any Cardinals receiver, running back, or tight end. So I look at these averages: 11.3 for Hopkins, 10.2 for Marquise Brown, 10.1 for Rondale Moore, 8.6 for Zach Ertz, 9.5 for Dortch, 6.3 for James Conrad of the backfield, 8.1 for Trey McBride. AJ Green's a shell of his former self, 6.7 yards per catch there. It just seems to me, Matt, that this is an offense that does a lot of underneath stuff, shallow routes, doesn't really stretch the field, maybe can't stretch the field. And with Trace McSorley not having the arm or the talent of a Kyler Murray, it kind of plays into Todd Bowles' hands, right? He likes to keep everything in front of him,
yes,
and kind of defend and make you throw underneath, rally and tackle, and go on those long drives, Matt, right?
Absolutely. And one of the players that Todd Bowles also mentioned in that video before was Robbie Anderson, who the Cardinals traded for when he was playing with Carolina. Robbie Anderson is kind of like that one-trick pony type of player, just speed down the field. And even his longest reception is only 21 yards. Obviously, when you make a trade in season, you're not always going to get the expected results that you want. Like Christian McCaffrey, he's kind of fit in pretty well with the San Francisco 49ers. Robbie Anderson, not exactly the case. So this plays perfectly into the hands of everything that Todd Bowles wants to do. As you said, keep everything in front. And really, we've seen in recent weeks, not against the Bengals, of course, but the Bucs, as good as the defense has played at times, they always fall into the problem of they just let up the big play once or twice in a game.
Right.
Whether it was the big Cooper Kupp touchdown against the Rams, and I know they went on to win that game, but falling apart against the Ravens on Thursday Night Football, where they allowed over 200 rushing yards. Maybe that wasn't necessarily one play, but they just, for everything they do right, it's the one or two things they do wrong that really, really comes back to hurt them. And, whether it was Kyler or Colt McCoy or now Trace McSorley is not going to burn you deep. At least I don't think so.
Right.
And maybe he would benefit from the fact that he had Chris Godwin at Penn State when they played together. But I mean, this opens a great opportunity, and we saw the pass rush look better, not like fantastic, but this opens a great opportunity for a Devin White delayed blitz or really just sending Devin White up the middle. Lavonte David, let's remember, you want to get on his case for the holding penalty on Jamar Chase, which Lavonte David
was
covering
a bad,
Jamar Chase.
bad penalty.
Yeah, it was a bad penalty,
Yeah.
but the idea of having Lavonte David cover Jamar Chase in the first place,
Yeah,
obviously
not
it was a
ideal.
blitz, and you can only do what you
Yeah.
want to do. He also had a strip sack in that game
He
on
did.
Joe Burrow. It just so happened that the ball went right back to Joe Burrow, and we're not really talking about it because of the way that the Bucs folded in the second half. But this is a great opportunity. I love when the Bucs have blitzed right up the middle this year. This is kind of everything that you talked about with what they should have done or wanted to execute against Brock Purdy 2 weeks ago against the 49ers. Now they can take that and do it against Trace McSorley, knowing that, this offense isn't going to do what San Francisco did against.
Yeah, they're not going to have Vita this week. That seems kind of certain right now. So they're going to have to do some blitzing, I think, to manufacture some pass rush here. But Carlton Davis is a player that really stepped up big time against Jamar Chase. Wrote about him in my 2-point conversion today. He was targeted 8 times, only allowed 3 catches, I think, for 24 yards, if my memory serves me correctly. The touchdown that Jamar Chase caught was actually against Keanu Neal. And really, Matt, for the first time, not for the first time, but for the first time in a long while, we saw Carlton Davis kind of vacate that lockdown left cornerback spot, right? Because, I mean, he was the left cornerback. Jamel Dean's the right cornerback. And it looked to me like Todd Bowles said, we're going to play cat coverage, which means you get that cat, wherever that cat goes, you cover him, right? And it's like man on man, and wherever he goes, you go. And so that's what happened. I noticed that the first snap of the game, Carlton Davis was lined up at a right cornerback with Sean Murphy-Bunting at the left because Jamar Chase was on the left side of the field for the Bengals, the right side of the field for the Bucs. And I thought Carlton played a tremendous game. 4 pass breakups, including an interception that happened on a tip ball. Just a fantastic job against Jamar Chase. It's really the type of performance the Bucs have wanted to see more from Carlton Davis, and glad he could deliver. But it's got to be more consistent, right? You can't go 20 games in between interceptions, and that's what happened with Carlton Davis. So, and not just 20 games, in a row, but 20 games he's played in, because Davis has missed some time due to injury these last 2 seasons. So Matt, let's listen to what Todd Bowles had to say about Carlton's performance last week, and he's got a big, tall matchup against DeAndre Hopkins this week. I think they're going to use him the same way and have him follow Hopkins.
Yes, I'm going to play the Todd Bowles video first. Then I want to mention something about Carlton versus DeAndre Hopkins, and then we'll get into Carlton. So here's Todd Bowles. He talks a little bit about how Sean Murphy-Bunting played, and then gets into Carlton Davis.
I thought Sean practiced well last week, and I thought he played a heck of a ball game.
Speaking of cornerbacks, could you just talk about the game Carlton Davis had with the pass breakups, the interception? Seemed like that was his best game of the year, maybe the best game he's had in some time. Do you agree with that assessment?
He competed. He did a lot of things well. 2 or 3 things just we can help him out with, or he can do better. But he competed. He didn't give up the deep ball. He's heard it all week. Chase has made great catches and runs on everybody. He's a great receiver. Carlton competed, and he made some plays for us.
It's funny. Carlton Davis is still a younger player overall. But yeah, that game against Jamar Chase was vintage Carlton Davis that we've seen. And, it reminds me of like training camp. He went up against Tyreek Hill and some back and forth. Carlton made some plays. Tyreek made some plays. It's training camp, whatever. We're in December now. No one's really thinking about that. But I really think Carlton revels in these opportunities to play against the best of the best. And he almost gets bored when it's, not to take the Devin White quote against the Falcons, but he almost gets bored when it's just a run-of-the-mill offense with regular wide receivers. So it's really coming full circle, Scott, because if you remember, in 2019, it's coming full circle because he's playing against DeAndre Hopkins. And in the 2019 season, Carlton Davis's second year, he had a game. It was Bucs against the Texans late in the season. Around this time, it was a Saturday game, and the Bucs were essentially, if they weren't eliminated from playoff contention, it was still
pretty much,
obviously, it was very tough. And he went up against DeAndre Hopkins and essentially spent most of the game with him, shadowing him wherever he went. And he held DeAndre Hopkins to 5 receptions for, I believe, 23 yards, either 23 or 33 yards, which, again, second-year player Carlton Davis against the best receiver at the time, DeAndre Hopkins.
Right.
That was the game that put Carlton Davis on the map.
That's right. That's a
put
great
him
memory.
on the map as, hey, this guy can be a number one. He welcomes these opportunities to go up against the best of the best of the best. And it started really the maturation process of the Carlton Davis that became the number one corner, that got that second contract. That was an exciting time for him. So we spoke to Carlton today, and he said that was like when he started being that corner that can go from side to side on the field, and he didn't just stay on one side. That was late in his second season was when he started doing that. And DeAndre Hopkins was one of the first players that he really shadowed against. So I asked him if he remembered that game and what's it like going up against a talented player like that, and this was his response.
Oh, for sure. That was like one of the, like I said, in the back half of 2019, I really started following guys, and that was one of my first assignments. And so you never forget it. But he's a physical receiver, a physical corner, and somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose, and it's not going to be me.
A physical receiver. I'm a physical corner. Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to lose, and it ain't going to be me. Essentially, what he said.
I love the swagger. I would love for more consistency, right, from him, and I think that's kind of been what's missing. Like you go back to the Cleveland game. I mean, he did not play well, right, and there's been some games where he has not been the $14 million man that the Buccaneers kind of expected. They expected on a more regular basis what happened on Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals, shutting down a premier type wide receiver and kind of erasing him. And really, Jamel Dean has been, even though Jamel Dean has really kind of fallen off, he's not going to be able to play this week as well. Todd Bowles said that he's going to be out. Jamel Dean's kind of been the better corner, I think, from a consistency standpoint, although, Dean started off hot and has kind of slid downhill here a little bit. We have a super chat I want to get to. Sorry for not getting to it earlier. From Jordan, that's Canadian money. We'll take it, $6.99. Appreciate the super chat.
Jordan.
Scott, what is your rationale for your hunch from your 2-point conversion article that TB12 will be back next season? Thanks and happy holidays, PR. What's my rationale? Well, I mean, I talked to people in the organization, and nothing's definitive. Nothing's been set in stone. But again, I wrote probably about a month ago now, 3 to 4 weeks ago, that I didn't think Tom would be back, that he would play elsewhere if he wanted to play next year. I have gotten some feelers, if you will, some feedback, some chatter that the Bucs are cautiously optimistic that he might return. And it's not definitive. It's not like, hey, Tom said he was going to do this. It's not that. It's just a feeling. It's like observing Tom, because Tom doesn't know. Tom doesn't know, A, is he going to play at age 46 for a 24th season? And then B, if he is, where is it going to be? He doesn't know yet. But I can tell you that maybe earlier in the season, people inside the organization didn't necessarily think it might be Tampa if he did play. But I kind of think that that's kind of flipping around now. So we'll see. It was part of my predictions piece at the bottom of the 2-point conversion column. Matt, my predictions have not been that great this year. I'll be the first to admit that. But some of the information I get is of my own perception, how I perceive things, how I read the team. And then sometimes there's like little nuggets here and there, and this is kind of maybe one of those. So I'll leave it at that.
And obviously, the Bucs would be more than happy to bring Tom Brady back into the fold. The
Bucs would, but the Bucs community, I'm not so sure about. We actually did a Twitter poll, and that expired yesterday. Here are the results. If Tom Brady wanted to come back for one more year in the NFL, would you want him to return to the Bucs in 2023? 3,653 votes were tallied. And only 57% said yes. 43% said no. That's closer than I thought it was going to be, Matt. Mm-hmm. Especially when there's no clear option, right? There's no option in free agency. There's no option in the draft. We don't know where the Bucs are going to draft, who's going to be available. The only quarterback on the roster under contract next year is Kyle Trask. And so I was just shocked without having a better, like, what's behind door number 2, right? To like contemplate, well, Tom coming back or this guy. They just don't want Tom back. 43%. It's kind of stunning to me. I thought it'd be a little bit more lopsided, like 65% Tom would come back.
I think we're going to need a follow-up poll. It would have to be after the season when a couple other things pan out, and it's like, of these quarterbacks, who would you want under center for the Bucs next season? It could be Tom Brady, Kyle Trask, Derek Carr, whoever. Because like last season, there was the feeling of, oh, like maybe the Bucs would trade for Russell Wilson. Obviously, that didn't happen.
Right.
We weren't suggesting it, just saying like that could have been an option. Maybe Derek Carr gets cut or yada, yada, yada. Obviously, right now, it's just kind of like, is it Tom or like, are you going through the draft? So maybe we'll redo that one in a month or so when a little more options are available. The picture is a little more clear to come up with a couple of options. But nonetheless, people aren't happy with the team right now. But you know what? Everyone was super pumped when Tom Brady made the big comeback against the Saints a couple of weeks ago. So it very much is a what have you done for me lately type of gig. And, you know, you were talking earlier about just wanting more consistency from Carlton Davis, and that you got that from Jamel Dean earlier in the season and not getting it as much now. I can tell you one thing that is consistent, but like consistently great, is Pirate Republic beer, the official beer of the Pewter Report podcast. You saw Scott drinking it earlier in the day. Christmas colors for the Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa season, the holiday season. And of course, Pirate Republic's the official beer of PewterReport.com. They're based out of Nassau, Bahamas, and making their way into Florida for the football season and holiday season. A beer brings people together, and they bring people together to celebrate life in the spirit of the original pirate code, which is a sense of belonging. I'm going to be talking about 3 beers in just a moment. You have the Long John Pilsner. That's the red, like Santa's suit. It's perfect for tailgating or having fun in the Florida sun. Personally, it's my favorite Pirate Republic beer. Then you have the green beer, the Take No Quarter IPA, 7.2% alcohol. It's
like a damn Christmas tree.
Exactly. It is like a Christmas tree. It's the best IPA that you'll find. You might not even be an IPA fan and you'll like it. And then last but not least, in the gold can is the Golden Haze of Piracy Belgian wit beer. Drop an orange slice in that and enjoy that pirate life. Pirate Republic beer can be found at participating retailers like Total Wine and More, Lucan's Liquors, Party Liquors, and select ABC liquor stores in the greater Tampa Bay area. And they're expanding across the state of Florida. I know I get my Pirate Republic at the ABC Liquor. So live life on your terms and drink like a pirate with Pirate Republic beer, the official beer of PewterReport.com.
I got mine at the Total Wine and More up here in Wesley Chapel. And, I'm not an IPA fan. This is the only IPA I would drink because it's not terribly hoppy. I think it has enough hoppy flavor for the IPA drinker out there to enjoy, but it's not overwhelming when it comes to hops, and that's what I enjoy about it. So, you know what? Listen, I know everybody out there has got their favorite beer, and I know that there's beer allegiance, and I get that. I'm kind of that way too. I have certain beers that I do like that I still drink, but I've incorporated this into my rotation, right? And that's all we're asking you to do. Just try it. Just give it a try. And you know what? If you know a beer drinker out there, there's nothing better, Matt, than finding beer under the tree. And the great thing is these cans, as we talked about, they're already holiday gift wrap for you, and red and green. Just slap a bow on them and just stick them under the tree, or just take the individual single cans, drop them in the stocking. Make sure that whoever's opening that stocking is age 21 and up. But it's a fantastic gift for yourself or for the beer drinkers in your life.
It takes 2 seconds to slap a bow on it, and then bam, you got a great gift that that whoever you're getting it for will like. Let's get to the injury report that just came out a couple minutes ago for the Bucs. Outside linebacker Jannard Avery did not practice, still dealing with that abdomen and oblique injury. Jamel Dean, as we talked about, toe injury, did not practice. Julio Jones, knee injury. He was limited today. He was there working out with some of the other wide receivers. Carl Nassib, pec injury, did not participate. he was running individually on his own over on the field all the way to the left. Keanu Neal, toe injury, did not participate. That's a new one there.
That's a new one. Yep.
Yeah, didn't expect that one. Donovan Smith did not practice. We tweeted that out earlier.
Yeah,
He's getting some
treatment.
Yeah.
Treatment on the foot. Yeah, so he was there today at the facility, but he was getting some medical treatment on the foot rather than practicing on it.
Yeah, Vita, calf injury, did not practice. Josh Wells, a back injury, limited participation.
Yeah,
Antoine Winfield Jr. with an ankle, did not practice, but Tristan Wirfs, on the bright side, once again, was limited in practice with that ankle injury. We have a video on our Twitter account, or on my Twitter account. You can check it out as well, with Tristan Wirfs running around at practice. So any doctors out there that want to look at it, see if he could be ready for this game.
I got a hunch, Matt. I think Tristan's going to come back for Sunday night. You know?
I think so too. Now I remember in the
is.
locker room last week, he was like limping kind of heavily, but I didn't see too much of a limp at practice today. He was in the locker room for a little bit.
Yeah,
towards the end, kind of as we were leaving.
He was kind of walking around pretty quickly, like he kind of shuffled out of there pretty quickly. So I was impressed by his.
The problem is I couldn't read him because he's always smiling. He's very happy-go-lucky type of guy. He's always smiling. So if he was in pain, he wasn't showing it.
Yep.
Let's get to the Cardinals injury report.
Sure.
Zach Allen, defensive lineman, hand injury, did not practice. Offensive lineman Kelvin Beachum, knee and ankle injury, did not participate. Offensive lineman Rashad Coward, chest, he fully participated. Wide receiver Greg Dortch, knee, was limited.
Yep.
Offensive lineman Max Garcia with the shoulder was limited. Marcus Golden, linebacker, ankle, limited. Cornerback Antonio Hamilton with a back injury, did not participate. He was on the Bucs for a little bit.
Yep.
Christian Matthew, the corner, shoulder, limited. Colt McCoy, concussion, did not practice.
He's out.
Byron Murphy Jr., the corner, back, did not participate. Linebacker Ezekiel Turner with an ankle injury was limited. Safety Charles Washington, chest, limited. And last but not least, cornerback Marco Wilson, dealing with the neck injury, was also limited. So plenty of limited players on that list. Yeah.
I think the only two guys that are going to be out for sure looks like Zach Allen, the defensive lineman with a hand injury, kind of like Trey Hendrickson didn't play last week with a broken hand for Cincinnati. And then, of course, Colt McCoy, they've already ruled him out with a concussion. That means Trace McSorley is going to be the quarterback for the Cardinals, the third stringer. Harvinder, we always appreciate your comments and your participation. Jensen was seen practicing snaps with Brady before the Bengals game. What's happening with Jensen? Really not much. We kind of have addressed this before. Don't see anything happening there on the horizon. He is, I don't think he's been cleared medically to practice. He has not been practicing. So you got to think with 3 weeks left, and he's not practicing yet with the team. When he did take those snaps, he was in street clothes, if you will, just shorts and a t-shirt, just doing some practice snapping, but he was not dressed in a uniform. They actually had Tristan Wirfs dressed in the uniform prior to the game, and he was working out and then was ruled inactive. And so he went back in and changed. And so I think he was kind of closer than we thought to maybe playing in that game, but we'll see. I think he plays on Sunday, but Jensen, I think he's done for the year. I don't see him coming back. One thing that I do want to kind of note about the Arizona Cardinals is, and it's just kind of weird because I think they've got some good players on defense, Matt, and we'll kind of shift to the defensive side here. They got some good players on defense. A lot of draft picks invested, high draft picks. First-round pick in Zaven Collins, first-round pick in Isaiah Simmons, high picks in Zach Allen and Budda Baker. But collectively, as a team, they just don't play well, right? They imported J.J. Watt. He's leading the team in sacks right now. I mentioned earlier Zach Allen, the second leading sacker, is out with that hand injury. Zach Allen has 5.5 sacks this year. J.J. Watt has 9.5. And, Josh Wells has played admirably. I think he's hung in there. He's not gotten abused where he's had a game where he's given up 2-3 sacks. He hasn't even given up a sack yet, technically, Matt. But if it's him going up against J.J. Watt, like his luck might be running out, right? Because Watt's a power player. I think those type of players, even more than speed, give Josh Wells fits. And so that's why I'm hopeful that Tristan Wirfs can play and battle against J.J. Watt. That will be an interesting matchup there. But Simmons has 3 sacks. Myjai Sanders, a rookie out of Cincinnati, 3 sacks. Marcus Golden's been a disappointment this year, only 2.5 sacks. Zaven Collins. So they get to the quarterback a little bit. They've got 31 sacks on the season. But here's the crazy thing. They're 32nd in scoring defense, Matt. They're allowing almost 27 points per game. They've given up the most points this year out of any team in the league. And for an offense that struggles to score points, right, like Tampa Bay,
remedy. Yeah,
that might be the perfect remedy because the Bucs are 28th in scoring at 17.6 points per game. In case you're wondering, the Cardinals are 18th at 20.9. But something's got to give, Matt. Either this Bucs offense is finally going to break out and score, more than 23 points, which they did in the last garbage minute of the game, or this Cardinals defense, which has been a sieve in terms of giving up points, is going to finally rise up. So one of these things is going to happen, right?
The Bucs were lucky to avoid TJ Watt when they played the Steelers weeks ago, but they're not going to be as lucky going up against JJ Watt, who, let's remember, he had 3 sacks last week. So he is coming in scorching hot for this game. And I like what you said about just individual players that are good players, but it's just not all coming together. Like Buda Baker, obviously very talented safety, one of the better safeties in the league.
Right.
Simmons, I really like his speed. He scored a game-winning touchdown earlier this season in overtime. I believe they came back against the Raiders. And that's the one thing that's a little scary for the Bucs is they haven't totally done well against speed this season. Whether, Donovan Smith, technique has been an issue. And sometimes you lose your technique because you're trying to keep up with with the edge rusher or whatever pass rusher is coming at you. So obviously JJ Watt, they're going to try to get him in the most advantageous situations. If Wells plays, Wells is going to see a lot of him. I wouldn't be surprised if they just say, hey, we know Donovan Smith is struggling. Let's put JJ Watt on him and kind of get things going.
Yeah.
But it's funny, Scott, because the offense obviously has struggled for the entirety of the season. We saw a glimmer of hope in the first half against the Bengals where they were able to move the ball. Why? Because they ran play action. They had motion. They got creative. They did different things. If you want to take advantage of a defense that has speed, keep running that play action because it worked. You don't even have to be good at running the ball. However, the one thing that does scare me is another way to neutralize a speedy defense and a good pass rush is through the screen game, which we know the Bucs love that more than some of their own family members. They love going to the screen game. So I'm worried that Byron Leftwich is going to go, hey, I know a way how we can beat the Cardinals. We're going to go with the screen. And so hopefully they stick with the play action and take those shots down the field because they've been able the last couple, well, not really against the 49ers, but they hit Mike Evans over the middle, and made some big plays. Chris Godwin, at times, they've been able to get him the ball down the field.
Yeah.
I would love to see a little bit more of Cade Otton. It just seems like every time Cade Otton gets the ball, good things happen. And even if it's just as simple of, hey, we can't put X's and O's on it or statistics or analytics behind it. If he's just a good luck charm, screw it. Just keep giving him the ball because it seems like every time Cade Otton gets the ball, they're either scoring a game-winning touchdown, getting a first down the field, where every time Cam Brate seems to be around it, there's either an interception, a fumble, or unfortunately for Cam Brate, he gets a debilitating injury. Yeah. So whether it's fate, whatever you want to call it, keep getting the ball to Cade Otton.
I agree.
Keep going play action and take shots down the field like this offense was destined to do when they all first got here as a coaching staff.
It's funny. I've talked to some defensive coaches around the league this week, not just in Tampa, but elsewhere that I've known, throughout the years. And the one thing that rings true, and I know this just from my Pop Warner days as a defensive coordinator, is the worst thing offensive coordinators do is stop themselves, right? I mean, like sometimes a bad offensive coordinator can be a defensive coordinator's best friend. And I'll just give you an example here. Just from my own experience really quickly, we were playing a team, Palmetto, Trojans, and they ran an end around on first down, and they got like 9 yards. And end arounds are really hard to stop, especially at the Pop Warner level, because you have little kids.
If you just have a kid that's fast, he's gonna
one
get
kid
to
who's
the edge.
fast, and he's running, and everybody else in your defense, all 11, are like static. They're standing still, trying to catch a kid who gets the handoff right and is already moving. It's really, really hard to stop that. And you know, and they get 9 yards, and I'm like, holy smokes, like this is gonna be a problem all game. And it's like, I think Palmetto ran it again, like later, and they maybe got 8-9 yards, something like that again. And that was it. And they didn't run it again. And it's like, for whatever reason, that's really common with offensive coordinators, is like there used to be a saying, and I know football is advanced and it's become more modern, and you have analytics guiding decision-making and all this. But one thing used to ring true, which is, you know, keep doing it until they stop you. And I don't know that that's the case anymore. I think offensive coordinators don't adhere to that. They don't keep doing something until the defense can prove that it's stopped. I think sometimes, you know, you see a good play and you're like, why don't you go back to that? Why don't you try that again? We've seen that happen to the Buccaneers defense at times, where like you'll see certain route combinations, you'll see certain, you know, plays happen again. And it's just like, wow, boy, like, they got to try to stop it here, whether it's a bootleg waggle, whether it's a screen, whatever it is. And I just think sometimes Byron Leftwich stops what's working without the defense really stopping it. And that's problematic. So I don't know. I was very I don't even want to say optimistic, because that's almost, well, I don't even say encouraged, because that's too much praise for Byron Leftwich. I kind of liked what they were doing in the first half. How about that?
Yeah.
like it looked different and it was working, and it seems like they went away from some of those things that were working. And I don't know how much of that was the Bengals defense really gearing up to stop that. And the reason I say that is because the Bucs kind of stopped using the play action in the second half to the rate that they were in the first half.
They put a safety on the side of Mike Evans, and Mike Evans obviously didn't destroy them. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see what type of offense comes about for the Christmas game for the Bucs and the Cardinals. Yeah. Obviously, everything we talked about between the Cardinals defense allowing the most points per game on scoring defense, and the Bucs doing what they've been doing on offense, really makes you wonder about the over-under in this game, which, if you're going to bet it, you can go and bet it over at MyBookie.ag. I gotta give a shout out to Pat O'Connor, because I bet on Eastern Michigan yesterday, and they won the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. So I was very happy about that. I told Pat that today. Yeah, he was. Yeah. He put something on Instagram about it too. But sports betting is intense enough, so you shouldn't need to sweat your payouts. MyBookie has a no strings bonus that lets you cash in and cash out quick. Use the promo code Pewter, that's PEWTER, on a deposit of $50 or more, and you can receive up to $200 in cash instantly to your MyBookie account. Using this bonus is simple. Bet your deposit amount once, and you're ready to cash out. It's no strings attached with MyBookie. Hammer this bonus on MyBookie so you can focus on what's important: the holiday week, family, food, and securing that money bag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. And a couple other things that you should know. The new deposit bonus, it's a 10% cash bonus on deposits up to $2,000. And the minimum deposit amount that you have to deposit is $50. The maximum bonus amount is $200. So it's a pretty good deal. You know, all these great cash outs. So make sure you go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code Pewter, because even if you learn from Plant City Math, you know that these are some great deals that MyBookie is coming out with. They always have different deals all the time, and obviously want to help out during the holiday season, so take advantage of that cash out. Shaggy with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Shaggy. Always in the comments in the chats. I still don't believe Lefty was calling that in the first half. It's funny because I was saying with Shaggy with this comment, I was thinking Scooby-Doo when they get the bad guy at the end, and they take the mask off, and it's like, oh, it was this guy.
I would have got away with it if it wasn't for you stupid kids or whatever he says. That's
exactly.
So funny. Yeah.
So I'm curious who really was calling the plays for the Bucs offense. Maybe it was like remember when like Sean McVay was with the Bucs like years and years and years ago, and he was just like essentially getting coffee for John Gruden. It was probably like that guy on the coaching staff, but he like won a bet against Byron Leftwich and got the call the first half or something like that.
Yeah, the Bucs were doing a lot of things well in the first half. I just wish we would have seen more of that in the second half. Of course, the turnovers played a big part in that, right? If not for the interceptions, the fumbles, they would have had more plays to run in the third quarter, and maybe they would have gotten to some of that stuff. So we'll see. What we want you to get to, though, is liking our Pewter Report page. We would love to be at the end of the season at 10,000 subscribers. I think we're just around 9,800. So we need you guys, if you're listening to this podcast, if you know of any Buccaneer fans that are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, Pewter Report TV, make sure that they are. They say subscribe, Matt. I don't know whether you subscribe. It's free. There's no subscription cost. It's just hitting a button. So hit the subscribe button. Help us get to 10,000. And make sure you hit the like button. While you're hitting buttons, hit the like button. On this video, on all of our podcasts, all of our commentary from the shows, the clips that we pull, or from our press conference clips and interviews from the locker room. We have a lot of great content that Matt and our staff puts up at Pewter Report TV. So make sure you go there for your Bucs news and commentary and interviews. We try to do a really good job of providing comprehensive coverage of the Bucs. And it all starts here on this Pewter Report podcast. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock as well for the Thursday show, where we talked about Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, who had a pretty good game, 4 tackles, half a sack. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka is the feature of a little video piece, or I should say an article with some video snippets that Josh Capo put out today. So definitely check that out too. A lot of great content at Pewter Report. And make sure you go to pewterreport.com, which is our website, and that you're following us on our social media channels, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Pewter Report. All right, Matt. So any other little tidbits that you want to throw out there about Bucs Cardinals? I think the wild card in this game is the fact that the Buccaneers have a real bad taste in their mouths, but they're also going to be spending Christmas Eve in a hotel room together, away from their families. You know, it's not the ideal place to be, right? Especially if you have kids and a wife and all that. Not being able to share that time with your family and then wait all day on Christmas, right? At the hotel, doing all that stuff. You do get to sleep in, but then you're playing at night. It's not a great situation, I think, mentally for the Buccaneers, to be in now. They have everything to play for, Matt, but that's the one thing that concerns me is the circumstances. It is Christmas Eve, the night at the hotel, and then the next day, you don't even get to wake up and play. You got to wait all day to play.
Yeah, and I would try to give this a positive spin zone of like, hey, it gives guys the opportunity to all bond, be around each other, and maybe say, hey, like, we got to pick it up. We got to get our you-know-what together. But they already had a players-only meeting, like, a month ago, and then the defense had the special dinner at Eddie V's. So as much as they've all tried to, hey, we gotta get this together. We gotta come together as a group. They've tried that before. So I don't know necessarily if just all being together because it's Christmas is necessarily going to change it, but maybe the spirit of Christmas or the holiday spirit changes things for the Bucs, and they say, all right, this is our best chance to win the division right now. It's a third string quarterback. It's a crappy team that's probably going to have a new coach and a new GM after the season. If we win this, first of all, they'll also already know whether or not, because the Lions play the Panthers next on Saturday. So if the Lions beat the Panthers, the Bucs know that all they have to do is beat the Cardinals, and they essentially have a 2-game lead and really just need to win one of those last two in order to, clinch the division. And they can clinch it if they win and beat the Panthers next week.
Yep.
You have to know, like, all right, no more BS, everything on the table. Let's just freaking get this stuff done, and we can celebrate Christmas the next day on Monday and Tuesday, which is typically the off day for everybody. And if that's not motivation enough, then nothing will be.
The Falcons play at the Ravens on Saturday, Christmas Eve. That's another Saturday game. And again, the Bucs will know the outcome of that. And the same is true with the Saints and the Browns. The Saints will be traveling to Cleveland, so that's going to be a bad weather game for sure for the Saints, who always play in a dome just about. And, of course, the Falcons having to go up and play the Ravens. The Ravens right now are, I think, 1 game behind. You have the 1 game behind the Bengals in the division, so they're going to be wanting that game. So the Lions are red hot right now. It's 7-7. It's crazy to think that the Detroit Lions are better than the Buccaneers, but that is the case. So maybe the Lions, the Browns, and the Ravens will help the Buccaneers, as all the other NFL teams seem to do on a regular basis, helping prop this bad Buccaneer team up by beating their NFC South rivals. One thing that you shouldn't do, though, is if you're feeling sluggish and tired and you're getting older like me, don't beat yourself up over it, because it's probably low testosterone.
As we age, our hormones decrease, both for men and women.
I was tired all the time, had no sex drive.
I was groggy.
I felt like I was 80 years old because everything hurt.
I came to age rejuvenation because I was tired all the time.
Bioidentical hormones has really made such an impact in people's lives.
I actually enjoy shopping now.
Got all my energy back.
Mind is sharp.
I feel like I'm 18 again.
It was perfect for me.
Get with Age Rejuvenation. Do it now. Don't wait.
Call Age Rejuvenation today.
Do it now. Get Age Rejuvenation. AgeRejuvenation.com, folks. That's where you have to go. If you are in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, you probably have low testosterone. That's nature, fellas. That happens naturally as you get older. And the side effects of that are weight gain, loss of stamina, just feeling tired all the time. You heard everybody talk about that. Even the lady said she didn't like to shop anymore. Holy smokes. But go to agerejuvenation.com, sign up for their free consultation, get your blood work done. And if you have low testosterone, highly recommend the testosterone therapy they offer. It has made me feel 10 years younger. I know John Gilmore, former Buccaneer, who joins us on the Pewter Report Tailgate Show. He certainly looks like he could still play in the NFL. He feels 10 years younger. He's 43. Looks like he's 33. And it works. So give yourself the gift of health. Treat yourself this year for the holiday season. Go to agerejuvenation.com. They've got some great holiday specials. And they also have 5 Tampa Bay area locations to serve you Age Rejuvenation.
All right, that's about going to do it for us on today's show. Want to remind everyone, we will have a show tomorrow, but then also Sunday on Christmas. We will have the Celsius Pewter Report Tailgate Show presented by Age Rejuvenation, typically live at the Walk-Ons in Wesley Chapel or Midtown, depending on the week. But this week we're doing it from our homes because it is Christmas. Then we'll have the Pewter Game Day Show. So the Tailgate Show is at 6:30. The Game Day Show is 8:20. I'll be on giving my live reactions and analysis to everything going on for the Bucs Cardinals game, which hopefully will end in a win for the Bucs. That'll make them a step closer to
that'd be the best Christmas present for any Buccaneer fan out there.
It really could be. And we will have a show tomorrow talking a lot about Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and the curious case going on there. So for Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you tomorrow for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out. R.I.P. Franco Harris.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
And Merry Christmas. And happy holidays to all.